The voice of sharing. dü人ASEAN。
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello, welcome to Duran ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Aline, do you know Philippines just had their very first presidential debate yesterday?
Oh yes, Grace. That's really interesting. But I was really busy with the US primary debates instead. In particular with the Democrats debate between Bernie and Hillary. Definitely feeling the burn.
Wow, that's a good one. Well, the Philippines presidential debate was equally interesting too. Their first debate was held in Mindanao. The next one will be at the Cebu City.
Wow, Mindanao and Cebu City, that's awesome. I think it's high time Malaysia also have our very own debate. I think, having a few leaders discussing about issues and policies, that would be great.
Yes, I agree. On ASEAN Daily, we'll bring you daily updates and commentaries on issues and events that are impacting this region. I'm your host, Grace Cho.
And this is Arlene Tan. Today, on Monday, 22nd February 2016, we will bring you the latest politics and current affairs news from Southeast Asia.
Our top story today, India is concerned over China and ASEAN tension. This is after the reports that Beijing has deployed surface-to-air missiles on the disputed island in the South China Sea. And India has called for the peaceful settlement of these conflicting territorial claims in the region.
During the keynote speech at the Delhi Dialogue, Sushma Swaraj, India's foreign minister, actually spoke about the importance of maritime security. She noted that the secure sea routes in Asia-Pacific are essential to the Indian economy.
Yeah, not only that, she added the optimum utilization of marine resources and development of a blue economy that requires internationally recognized rules and norms. Hence, the need for resolving dispute peacefully without threat or actual use of force cannot therefore be underestimated. And in fact, India has consistently opposed to China's unilateral actions in the South China Sea.
That's true. But interesting though, that India does have a stake in the South China Sea, which is why China is also opposing India.
Right.
In the case where India's state-owned Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, or short for ONCG, is currently engaged in oil exploration in a Vietnamese block of the South China Sea, where they have secured a one-year extension from the state-run Petro-Vietnam.
But on the other hand, the Philippines is on their toes though, preparing for China's aggression if that happens. So the chief of the Western Command of the Armed Forces of Philippines said Palawan-based Filipino troops had planned for the worst-case scenario here, and they were also monitoring China's reported deployment of surface-to-air missiles.
Plus, Vice Admiral Alexander Lopez said that troop alert level has not been raised yet, but the military was, quote-unquote, continuously monitoring developments.
So according to Lopez, this is a serious threat to regional security that China was militarizing the region.
And the Philippines statement echoed the US statement as well. The US is actually quite worried with the China missile deployment, which came just as US President Barack Obama held the ASEAN Summit in Sunnylands, California. According to Washington, it says that it proposed to have a very serious conversation with Beijing.
Right, but China refuted it and says that it is mere American propaganda to frighten the ASEAN countries.
Well, tell me about it. That the HQ-9 long-range high-altitude surface-to-air missile system by China on the Woody Island is designed to track and destroy air targets, including aircraft and cruise missiles within a range of 300 kilometers and as high as 23,000 feet. Tell me about it if China could be surveilling its ASEAN neighbors and the US.
Well, but I think the missiles are not the issue here because for decades, China, Taiwan, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia, they have stationed military hardware and personnel on the island and reefs they control in South China Sea. And also the US warships and surveillance aircraft also passed through the area regularly.
You're right. Perhaps it's time for greater China-ASEAN dialogue. Should multilateralism be the way out?
Perhaps. The next news spoke just about it though. With the rise of the like of ISIS and other radical militants, Malaysia is partnering Interpol to block militants from returning to the country.
I wonder how many of them in total?
About 132 Malaysian militants in Syria and Iraq, though we are not so sure how they are going to do that.
Well, the reason given by Deputy Prime Minister and Home Minister Ahmad Zahid Hamidi is that this will ensure Malaysia's racial unity and its stability are not threatened. I wonder, do you think it will work?
Maybe, because Indonesia is also doing the same, especially since the brutal Jakarta bomb attack in January. It is looking at revoking the passport of its national who visit Syria to support ISIS or similar groups. And there are about 400 Indonesians who have joined ISIS in Syria.
Oh, wow. While in Malaysia, it has arrested more than 100 men and women for being suspected sympathizers of the terrorist group Islamic State in Iraq and Syria and for trying to make their way to join militant activities. Well, I guess the key here is greater regional cooperation to counter terrorism.
Yeah, that's why on May 1st, Malaysia will launch ASEAN's first digital messaging center to combat violent extremism, adopting the template used by the United States and the United Arab Emirates.
That's great. Well, so much about not wanting terrorists coming in. Another turn of event, the government actually said that Malaysia has one of the best de-radicalization program for terrorists in the world.
Really? A bit of an overstatement, isn't it?
Well, I don't know, because according to this Malaysia Prison Department's Blue Ocean strategy of 130 convicts from the group, it has achieved a high rehabilitation rate of 97%.
How did they manage to do so?
This is because the department did not conduct the rehabilitation alone, but cooperate with many other quarters, including JAKIM, which is Malaysia's Islamic Affairs Department, psychology experts, NGO, and others.
Well, maybe this is why, according to the Zahid Hamidi, Malaysia was given recognition by United Nations, Interpol, and others. But by the way, Malaysia hosted the International De-Radicalization Conference last month.
Oh, wow, really? On the other hand, in Indonesia, Indonesian police have arrested dozens of suspected Islamic extremists on Java Island. Most of them were allegedly carrying out military-style training on a remote mountain.
So talking about going commando, right?
Well, anyway, according to this local media report that the group of around 30 were from Islamic extremist group Jamaah Ansarus Sharia, and the training was on the slopes of Sumbing in Central Java province.
So the air guns, knives, religious books, and the flags they were seized at a house where some of the participants had stayed en route to the mountain. They report this is according to the report, and it looks like Malaysia and Indonesia are actively cracking down on the terrorist groups.
Good for them. Anyway, let's go to the next news. From terrorism in Nusantara, we report about the ethnic armed fightings in Myanmar. The US is deeply concerned over fightings in Myanmar's Shan state. The heavy fighting involving the military and two ethnic armed groups in eastern Shan state.
So, a series of heavy clashes have broken out between Shan rebels of Restoration Council for Shan State (RCSS) and the Palaung rebels of Taang National Liberation Army, which is called TNLA, in northern parts of the state since last week. And at least 4,300 people have been forced to leave their homes due to the fighting.
That's bad. And according to one of the government representatives there, although Palaung people are the majority in the area, it was under RCSS control since a long time ago, and TNLA never showed interest before this.
Well, he also added that it seems TNLA is planning to follow other major rebels like UWSA to get their self-administration region. So TNLA has accused the military of assisting RCSS, which signed a government-sponsored nationwide ceasefire agreement in October last year.
Well, whatever it is, according to the US Embassy in Myanmar, they urge all sides to exercise restraint and recommit to dialogue so that peace process may remain on track and those displaced are able to return to their homes and resume their lives.
Right. Aung San Suu Kyi, leader of NLD, which will be taking over leadership from the military junta, she vowed to make ethnic affairs a priority of her administration.
That's good for the Myanmar government.
Mm-hmm.
But interestingly, on another news, we also found out that Myanmar ethnic armed groups are also seeking for peaceful resolution. But this time in Aceh, where representatives of 3 armed ethnic organizations for Myanmar are visiting the area in Aceh to learn about peace building.
That's correct. So the groups like the Karen National Union, KNU, the Democratic Karen Benevolent Army, DKBA, and the Karen National Union Peace Council, KNUPC, they were represented by 15 officials who met with Aceh Wali Nangrong traditional leader Malik Mahmud Al-Halta in the Banda Aceh.
Well, that's not an easy name to call.
Exactly.
Anyway, according to the current delegation led by General Isaac Poe, they were accompanied by staff from the Center for Peace and Conflict Studies and the International Center for Aceh and Indian Ocean Studies.
So, what it was held there during the meeting, they learned about the importance of dialogue to solve prolonged armed conflict in Indonesia, westernmost province. Malik Mahmud said, if you conduct dialogue, you will get support from your people as well as international support.
I couldn't agree more because dialogue should be the way out of perpetual cycle of violence and war. That's all from our ASEAN Daily today. Thanks for tuning in to Durian ASEAN with me, Arlene Tan.
And Grace Joe. For more updates on Southeast Asia, please go to our website at drianasean.com. If you're on the go, you can always download our TuneIn app on your mobile.
And please subscribe to our YouTube channels at Durian ASEAN and Durian ASEAN TV. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook page, Twitter and Instagram. We always welcome feedback from our listeners.
Stay tuned with ASEAN Daily by tomorrow Tuesday, same time at 12 to 1 p.m. GMT plus 8. Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.